This is the plaintiff, Frankie Durden. She says she loaned her granddaughter money to buy some furniture, and she's sorry to say it, but her own granddaughter is trying to stiff her. It's a real shame, because they used to be very close, but not anymore. She's suing for $943.68, the amount she's owed. This is the defendant, Bernadette. She says she paid her grandmother, but her grandmother had another $3,000 worth of charges on the account, and her grandmother's trying to scam her. Unfortunately, they've cut ties with one another. She doesn't owe any money and will prove her defense today. She's accused of grating on Grandma's nerves.
All parties, please raise your right hand. People's Court is now in session, and the Honorable Judge Marilyn Leontown presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, so Ms. Durden, you're the grandmother of Ms. Bernadette, correct?
Correct.
All right, and then at some point, Ms. Bernadette wanted you to buy her some furniture because you had an account at a particular furniture store.
Yes.
And what furniture did your grandmother put on her credit on your behalf? What did you buy?
It was I bought a bed set. It was just the nightstand with the mirror and just a queen bed set, just a headboard.
All right, now the amount, you put some money down, right, Ms. Bernadette? And then the amount that was owed on the card was $1,093.68, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, now, Ms. Durden, what was the arrangement that you had with your granddaughter about how she would pay that back?
She said that she would come and bring me some money when she got paid off. Bernadette came and brought me $150 one time.
When did she do that? According to you, that wasn't until November.
It was in November.
All right, but did you have a deal that she was supposed to be paying you monthly or not really? She was just going to get
monthly.
And
monthly.
How much was she supposed to pay you monthly?
$150.
So in June, did she pay you $150?
No, ma'am.
July?
No, ma'am.
August?
No, ma'am.
September?
No, ma'am.
October?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and then in November she pays you $150. And between May and November, did you ever say to her, hey, where's my money that you were supposed to be paying me? Do you ever say something to her?
Yes, ma'am. I asked Bernadette. I even went to her house and took my paperwork. She even said to me, Grandma, you only paid 2 payments. I paid several. I'm the one goes and pays to the furniture store. I never missed a payment since I've been dealing with Badcock Furniture Store. I never missed a payment on nothing because I'm the type of woman I don't want anybody coming to pull nothing out of my home.
Okay, let me ask you something. When she put her furniture on your bill, how much did it increase your bill?
It came back up to $3,000 and something.
But you used to pay how much a month on your own furniture? Because you had on that bill, you had your own furniture. So you used to pay how much a month, and then how much a month were you paying now?
I was paying I was paying one something. Then it went up to I think it was $275 a month.
Okay, are they the ones who tell you what the minimum payment is, or you decide how much? Okay,
no,
they tell you. All right, I got it.
No, ma'am, they tell me.
All right, so let me ask you a question, Ms. Bernadette. She says that you only paid that first amount at the store, leaving $1,093, and that you paid $150 in November, many, many months later, leaving a balance of what she's suing for, which is a $943.68. Let me hear from you.
That is incorrect. That's not true at all.
Okay.
I paid in cash. My furniture didn't come until June 14th.
Okay.
She called me trying to get money. I said, Grandma, I still don't even have my furniture. I didn't have the money at the time. I contacted Kurt, which is my boyfriend, which is one of my witnesses. He gave me $150 in June, the beginning of June. I went to her home and I gave her the $150. Like the end of June, like the 28th, she contacted me and said, the bill is coming up again. And I said, well, Grandma, I just paid you for June. She said, well, I pay my bills like the first of the month, close like the 5th, no later than the 5th and stuff. I said, okay, Grandma. I went to the ATM and then I got $50 from Curtis in June. I gave her the money. So then after that,
Let me ask you a question. Can I ask you a question? Are you ever getting
Yes,
receipts from your grandmother?
I wasn't thinking to get a receipt from my grandmother when we had a close relationship. I was the one that always called, went to the hospitals with her.
Okay, but your grandmother is saying that only one time you've paid $150. You have no way to prove how many times you've paid anything in terms of receipts from your grandmother, any of that. But you do have 2 witnesses that you want me to hear from, right? Or 1 witness?
Yes.
Okay, who is
She's
this?
here,
Your
but
boyfriend?
she wrote a statement. Yes.
Okay, let me hear from your boyfriend. Let's swear him in.
How you doing?
Good. What's your
Fine.
name, please?
I'm Curtis Jones.
Okay, can you raise your right hand, please, so we can swear you in?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
What do you know about this case? What do you know about payments? What do you know about payments?
Right. I don't know exactly what the agreement was, but I know back in June that I gave her $150.
Okay, so you gave her the money. You don't know what she did with it, but she told you she needed it because Grandma wanted the money. So you assume she gave it to Grandma?
Well, she went over to make a payment. She said she was going over to make a payment to her grandmother.
Okay.
She was going to give her grandmother money. Her grandmother used to come over to the house also.
Right.
So it wasn't a thing of,
When the grandmother came over to the house, did you ever see a payment made there?
Like I said, I don't know exactly how they had things going on because that's her grandmother. So I wasn't looking around and trying to check out for different situations. That's her grandmother. I call her granny.
So the only thing you can tell me is that in June you gave your girlfriend $150 to give to Grandma.
And at the end of June, I gave her $60 because she asked me again for more money. And I said, well, we just gave her $150 like a few weeks ago. Like, what's going on with this?
Okay, so do you remember between, so let's talk about July, August, September, October. Do you remember any conversation or any payments or anything that you can testify to during those months?
I want to say October the 17th or the 18th because it was my nephew's birthday. And I gave her $150 also in October. So, I gave her, like I said, I know maybe 4 times that I gave her money.
Can you switch with her? I want to ask her some questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, here you go.
Ms. Bernadette?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you say you paid her June 5th, June 29th, and what were the other dates that you paid her?
Like the 7th, like July 7th.
How much did you pay her July
August,
7th?
$150.
All right, and I do see an ATM withdrawal that corresponds with that. Then how much did you pay her in August?
$150.
And I do see an ATM withdrawal that corresponds with that for $150. And then September, how much did you pay her?
I paid her $150, but that month I withdrew more because of my nephew needed money when she was going to Palaca to see him.
Right. So, and what about October?
October is the money that I got from Curtis to give to her as well. Because this around the time I found out I was pregnant.
Right.
And I was losing hours.
October is the money that you say you used Curtis.
Yes, ma'am.
And then November,
I did $150. I took extra out because gas, but November was the last day I paid her because I told her that I only had 2 more payments, if that. And she got upset and said, no, I don't. So when we called the people at my house, they said she has a $3,000 interest. And then at the bottom of a receipt, it had written out plus interest. I said, Grandma, everything is in one for me. It's not. The lady said, no, it's because she has other items on this account. That's why it's that much. So she wanted me to keep paying her. And I said, I'm not going to keep paying when I know I'm like done. So that was it. She never talked to me. Nothing.
Ms. Durden, can you tell me what furniture you were paying and how much you have been paying it?
I got my living room suit when I moved in here. I was paying like $100 and something.
But I can see that before you put her furniture on, you were paying $250.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Because there's interest because you're paying it so slowly.
Yes,
right.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
But so
Before the
we know,
fifth.
hold on one second. You acknowledged that she gave you $150 one time. According to you,
ma'am.
she gave it
One
to you in
time.
November. But in November, did you pay that $150 to Babcock, or did you just pay the $275?
I had already paid Babcock.
Right. So my point
When
is,
she bought the
my
150.
point. Listen to my point. My point is that she's giving you
Yes, ma'am.
$150, but you're just paying the $25 minimum that her furniture upped your minimum. So you're paying the minimum all the time, and when you pay the minimum all the time, the interest starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger. What do you think is going on? You just think she's confused?
I don't know I don't know. I think she is confused, because even trying to talk to her is an argument, and why not just argue, just pay? So I just paid. I wasn't thinking about getting a receipt, because I'm like, well, she's paying it. It's her credit. You know, I wasn't thinking about that. She like a mom. She like my mama.
Let me ask you something, Ms. Durden. Was Ms. Bernadette, your granddaughter, ever someone you couldn't trust?
No.
Was she always
No, never.
Right. She was always somebody you trusted. She's sitting here under oath and telling me that she did pay you these monies, but that you didn't apply the whole thing to the furniture, which I know you didn't in November. I know all you did in November was pay the minimum. All right. And that maybe that's why you're confused about what she's paid and what she hasn't. Why would she lie to try to make sure that you, after being so nice and got her furniture, why would she lie today in front of me, do you think?
Judge, I'm going to say this. My granddaughter know that my other grandchildren, I would do things for all my grandchildren. She was the only one that I would never think that would go against me like this. Anything Bernadette had asked me for, I tried to do for her. I will always do for Bernadette. There's nothing under God's sun that I wouldn't do for any of my grandchildren. Not none of them.
That's why I wouldn't do that to you.
I'm on a fixed income. She told me to my face, in which her friend was right there in the store, and my husband was there. My husband left to go to work this morning in Georgia. He said, Mank, he called me Mank. He said, something is going to go wrong, and you and your granddaughter going to have some spouts about that bedroom set. And he did not lie. There's nothing that I wouldn't do for my grandchildren, because I have raised them.
Did you want to respond to that, Ms. Bernadette?
Yes.
You know, I was the only one that came around and did anything. So for you to sit up here and do what you're doing and making it seem like I will cross you anyway is wrong.
Why would you do me like this?
You're wrong.
Why?
I love you, but I'm fine with whatever this outcome is. I'm good. Me and you, we was real good. You was like my mama. I always came to you about everything. Well, I'm gonna let God handle it and leave it alone, because I never thought that you would cross me in this type of way.
But you don't think she's crossing you, Ms. Bernadette. Do you believe that she believes you paid her and she's trying to get money from you? That's silly. You believe that she's confused.
I'm not saying that.
Right.
I believe that she's confused, and she's not. She not remembering what I did, and I don't want to go back and forth with my grandma.
Your grandmother doesn't believe you paid her. Talk to her right now and tell her.
I came to your house plenty of times. Even the last month of June, when I came to you again about the money, you were rushing trying to get to church. You had Granddaddy in the car with you as well. All these times that I was giving you money, someone was there. Someone was there.
Who is Latrell Washington? Who is that?
That was my friend. That's my friend that was there when I got the furniture at the store, and she was giving me rides to get to my grandmother to pay the money.
I witnessed Bernadette paying her grandmother $150 every month from June to November. Do you remember her coming to see you with Latrell Washington?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. She only gave me $150.
And I didn't give you $100 for Javiante?
No,
on top of the $150?
No, you didn't.
Okay.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. And I'm saying that on everything I love, and God knows I love the Lord, and I can't lie to God, so why would I lie to the judge?
No one thinks you're lying. I don't in any way, shape, or form think that you're lying to me, Ms. Durden. I know that you believe 100% what you're saying. I don't think you're trying to get extra money out of a grandchild. You are a wonderful grandmother. No one thinks that. But the question I've got to answer in my head is, did you get paid? Because if you did get paid, you're still owed some money, no matter what. But she says she paid you X, and if she paid you X, if she really did, then I have no business making her pay you that again. So normally, the way I can figure this out is really easy. People have receipts, and they show me their receipts. But you're a granddaughter and a grandmother, and you're hoping your grandmother will remember getting paid, which I would never. The people I always want receipts from are the people who are closest to you and you don't want a problem with. That's who I get receipts from. So cash should never be paid without a receipt coming in the hand, because this is what we end up with. So I've got a grandmother who loves her granddaughter and is really upset. And I've got a granddaughter who loves her grandmother and is really upset too. Both of you have been crying during the whole trial. She says that she paid you many of the times and then stopped when you were saying you paid me nothing. Then her boyfriend testifies, I gave her money to pay her, and they're very specific. I gave her $150 once, and I gave her $60 another time, all right? And her friend testifies, I gave her rides to pay her. Then there's also the bank statements where there's ATM withdrawals that match what she's saying. And then I see, when I look at her bank statement, well, all she withdrew that day was $100 to match with the $60 that he gave her so she could make it $150 then. It has what we call the ring of truth. And when she gave you $150 to pay down her debt, all you did was pay $25 to Babcock. You see, you didn't pay that money to Babcock and lower the debt. You just paid your monthly minimum payment. Basically,
she only gave me $150.
Here's where we are. Here's where we are, guys. And I'm very, very sorry. I want you to understand, Ms. Durden, that when a plaintiff comes into court, they have the burden of proving the case. Usually when someone doesn't have a receipt, I look at them and say, too bad, so sad for you, Ms. Bernadette. You don't have receipts. But I strive so hard to get to the right verdict. But based on what I have heard, you being, Ms. Durden, the person with the burden of proving that the money wasn't paid, all these little things to me that I am hearing have the ring of truth. You would still owe Ms. Bernadette additional monies on this because there's interest involved. So when I take the amount that you say you've paid, that you've showed me the ATM, and you've shown me the other testimony of people, and I deduct it from the amount that would include with the interest, you still owe your grandmother $200, and I'm ordering you to pay your grandmother the $200. And I'm just sorry that you guys didn't have a better system to keep track of it than what you had, because when you get right down to it, how could a bed set destroy the relationship between a grandmother and a granddaughter like this? How? Especially when that grandmother was your mother, basically. So I hope that after this case is over, you folks have some kind of understanding and you come to some kind of peace. I hope so, because it would be a very sad day indeed where someone who raises you then never talks to you again over this. And someone you raised, you never talk to again over this. So based on what I have heard, I find that she did make the payments, but you still owe some money, the remainder plus interest, and I am ruling in favor of the plaintiff in this case in the amount of $200.
Thank you.
So the plaintiff is going to get $200 back from her granddaughter. She was actually seeking $943. This is a very difficult case for the judge to handle. There was no hard evidence, so to speak. Ms. Bernadette, let me ask you, you okay with this? How do you feel about it? I know you're very upset. What are you thinking?
I'm not upset. That's like what I owe her. I didn't owe her no more than that. So I'm glad, I'm good with the verdict.
Let me ask you something about your relationship with your grandmother. I know you two were very close. Do you think this is going to hurt it, or can you get back together with her and love each other?
No. I'm gonna go my separate way. Now that I know, like, this situation just opened my eyes to a lot of things. So I'm just gonna go my separate way.
Oh, that's really sad. That's sad to hear that. And I'm sure your grandmother's going to be very disappointed to hear that. Hopefully you can work it out. We'll see. Ms. Durden, let me ask you something. Do you understand how the judge really labored over this decision? She was troubled with this.
I understand, but God said he will fight my battles for me. And God is a man that he cannot lie. God is a man that he will not lie. One thing about it, two for sure. My granddaughter can never stop me from loving her. I will never stop loving her, no matter how she feels about the situation.
Well, hopefully she'll listen to you and maybe help change her mind down the road. Good luck to you both. Harvey, this is a tough case.
So, Doug, this is really interesting. It's such a sad case, but it's really relatable that you may have a situation like this where really both parties were well-intentioned and believed what they said. It just turns out that the grandma has a bad memory and didn't remember that some of this money was repaid. So in a situation like this, there's got to be understanding and communication between the two, and sometimes that can avert court.
Judges, how do I go about filing perjury charges against 3 witnesses who lied in court against me? Thanks, Debbie.
Perjury is sometimes called the forgotten crime, I guess, because from all your years as a prosecutor and as a judge, just like I do, it's seldom charged. I was 17 years as a federal prosecutor. Never did I charge it for someone lying in a civil case. Now, I think maybe once or twice on a criminal case. But it's got to be about, people lie all the time when they testify, as you know, but it's got to be about something that's material to the case. It can't just be the backstory, a window dress.
And you really came at 1.
You're driving a blue car, not a red car, whatever. These little things don't matter so much. But prosecutors look for pretty concrete proof.
Yeah.
They want corroboration. They want something more than a he said, she said dispute.
Right. If it's still 3 people say one thing and you say another, you are never going to get a perjury charge, even though you believe it in every fiber of your being.
Exactly.
You need to be able to show that the 3 of them were lying.
Exactly.
I would say that you usually, to be able to prove a perjury charge, you better have some evidence, physical evidence, that shows concretely that the person lied.
Right. Like a videotape confession or something.
Right. Something really concrete, because it's really tough.